morning. Welcome to the live, Beverly. It is 9:59, and our topic for today, I'm really excited about. The topic is pattern number 1, people pleasing. We're going to go ahead and get started. It is now 10 a.m. So again, our topic for today is pattern number 1, which is people pleasing. And my name is Coach Mika, and I want to personally welcome you to the live. And if you would please drop in the comments where you are joining from, I would really appreciate it. And I am a life and relationship coach, and I'm also the founder of Destination Life Coaching. I help Christian women struggling with painful relationship patterns identify the root causes behind these cycles and create healthier, God-rooted relationships so they can thrive in life, love, and leadership. So again, today we're talking about pattern number 1, people pleasing. So if you've ever said yes when you meant no, if you're apologizing for things that weren't your fault, or ever felt responsible for other people's feelings, then this particular live is for you today. So before we start, I would like for you to go out to the link in my bio, and I would like for you to request the Relationship Pattern Finder. It takes a few minutes just to complete the assessment that's in the Relationship Pattern Finder, and it'll show you which pattern is your primary relationship pattern, such as people pleasing, which is the one that we're covering today. And that will be the pattern that is primarily running your relationships. And we want to learn about that so that we can fix it, right? And so what is people pleasing, since that's the pattern that we're talking about today? People pleasing isn't just about being the nice person, right? It's about saying yes when your whole internal system is saying no. Your mind is saying no. Your body might be cringing. You might hear it. You might feel it on the inside of your chest where your chest is tightening up, and you can feel it rising up from your belly. Everything within you is saying to say no. But the people-pleasing habit is pushing past that and running the entire show, right? And it forces your mouth to say yes. Although your mind is saying no, 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 your mouth is saying yes, 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 yes. And your actions are saying yes, 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 yes. And so it's about staying quiet to keep the peace, even when something is bothering you. So here are the significant signs of the pattern of people-pleasing. You say I'm fine when you're not. So you've learned how to be very good at pretending that you're okay when you're really not okay. And sometimes we're not even aware that we're pretending until someone brings it to our attention, because somewhere along the line we learned that that was a way to keep everybody happy and to please others as a way to stay safe. You apologize when things aren't your fault, even for having needs. When we operate in the habit of people pleasing, we find that we're apologizing over and over and over and over again. Sometimes we apologize correctly for things that we really do need to apologize for, but then probably 80% of those apologies are coming from a place of people pleasing, because we're trying to satisfy the person. Hello, Kennedy. We're trying to satisfy the person or the people that we are in the presence of, and we have learned that people pleasing will keep everybody happy. And so without being aware of it, we apologize for things that aren't even our fault. And it becomes a habit, and it becomes a part of who we are as a person until we're aware of it and have a desire to change. Hello, Claudia. Thank you very much for joining. Next, the next sign number 3 for people pleasing, is you feel guilty for resting or for saying no. Now this one is huge for Christian women. According to studies, Christian women have a really hard time with boundaries. And we'll talk about boundaries on a different segment. But it's really important that we're aware that we have that issue, because the first step to solving a problem is being aware of the problem, right? And so we have to be aware that we have issues with setting boundaries, setting healthy boundaries. Hello, June. And so when we're aware of that, then we can start making steps towards fixing it and learning how to set healthy boundaries. Sign number 4, you read a room and adjust yourself before anyone asks you to. People with the people-pleasing habit. Hello, Muhammad. Hello, Carlita. The people with the people-pleasing habit, they have developed the skill of being able to automatically read people's emotions. They're very skilled at reading the room, so to speak, so that they can adjust how they behave, how they act to fit in and please the people. They're not being themselves, they're pretending. And that comes from the learned habit of people pleasing. Sign number 5, which is our last one. Hello, everyone who's just joined. Thank you very much for joining. Please like and share the live so that someone in your network can see that we're live and join us. Hi, Sunny. Thank you very much for joining. And so sign number 5 is that you're exhausted from relationships because you're not being yourself. You're constantly on guard. You're constantly trying to figure out other people's emotions, and you're not being yourself. And so because you're not being yourself, you're not really resting. You're in a state of, you're always in a conscious state of guardedness. It's constant. And because of all that work that it takes to pretend to be someone that you're not, you're exhausted. And you don't really know why, because you're not really aware of it yet. But if you're on the live, then you are becoming aware, because that's what we're doing today. We are working on awareness. And so if you have nodded at any of those 5 signs, or if your internal alert system is going off and saying, yes, that's me, then I want you to listen very closely, because this is not about condemnation or judgment. It's all about awareness, because the only way to solve a problem is to become aware of the problem, right? And we have to learn healthy ways to solve problems, right? Okay, so I would like for you to take a moment, take a deep breath, and I want you to think about all the times that you have said yes when you really need to say no. I want you to think about all the times that you've said I'm fine when you're really not fine. You're really upset, hurt, angry, but instead of expressing that, you said I'm fine. I want you to think about all the times that you've apologized for things that you haven't done, even for having your own needs, and your needs are not being met, but you're apologizing to someone because your needs are not met. Is that really a logical reason to apologize? No. Then I want you to think about all the times that you felt guilty for saying no. Or all the times that you said yes when you should have said no. I want you to think about all the times that you've actually read the room or read the person in front of you. You can tell that they're agitated, you can tell that they're upset, you can tell when they're happy, you can tell when they're sad, and you adjust how you behave with them, and you pretend just to keep them happy, just to please them. And then I want you to think about all the times that you've gone to bed exhausted because you had to manage all of this people pleasing. Now, what I want you to do is go out to the link in my bio, and I want you to find the Relationships Pattern Finder, and I would like for you to request it. Once you receive it, I would like for you to complete the assessment. It's free. And once you complete the assessment, it will tell you what your primary relationship pattern is. And if you've identified with all 5 of those flags for people pleasing, then people pleasing is probably your primary relationship pattern. And once you complete it, it will give you the next step so that we can work on helping you to fix it, right? Now, here's the thing about people pleasing. Hello for everyone who just joined. Thank you so much for joining. Please like and share the live so that others know that we're alive and they can join us. Hello, Coco. Thank you very much. Hello, Elle. Thank you very much for joining. So here's the thing about people pleasing. It isn't a character flaw, so it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's usually a skill that you learned. And maybe you have that skill because keeping the peace helps you feel safe. It's a survival skill for many of us. Hello, Julie. Thank you very much for joining. And maybe you learned that love had to be earned, or that love had to be easy, and that you had to be agreeable and low maintenance in order to survive relationships. And I want you to know that that skill has probably helped you during a really critical time of your life. But now that we recognize that it's causing so many problems in our lives, then it's time now to fix it. Because the problem is running our lives. People pleasing is running your life. And it's causing issues in your relationships that you don't need anymore. Right? We don't want to keep repeating the same painful relationship cycles because we're afraid of change. We want to face the issue, which for some of us is people pleasing, and we want to learn how to be better so that our relationships can be better and we can thrive in life, love, and leadership and create healthier relationships that don't require us to pretend. Can you imagine the freedom of just simply being yourself? And when I say that, I want you to know that everybody's not going to like the real you. And that's okay. I want you to put your hands on yourself and say, it's okay if someone does not like me. That really is okay. Because everybody's not going to like you. Right? Have you ever gone to your favorite, hello Eva, have you ever gone to your favorite restaurant and you were shocked because there was someone there who didn't like the items on the menu, but you absolutely loved them? Well, that's kind of the way people are. And trust me, when you start walking in your authentic self, the people who are accustomed to the version of you that was people-pleasing, if they love you, then they will adjust. But the people who don't particularly like the version of you that's no longer people-pleasing, and they become hostile or leave your life or decide that they really don't like you, then we learn to walk through those seasons of our life, because the pain of staying the same, the pain of staying in this relationship cycle that's causing us so much pain and exhaustion, the cost is too high to keep people pleasing just to keep certain people in our lives who don't like us anyway. Right? So I want you to think about that. And I want you to put your hands on yourself again, take a deep breath and say, it's okay to change. It's okay to be better. I don't have to stay the same to please people. I can grow. Growth requires you to be willing to change and not stay the same. Hello, Amy. Thank you very much for joining. And so, remember, people pleasing is a skill, and you learned it somewhere in your life. Wherever you learned it. Maybe it was in childhood, maybe it was in adolescence, maybe it was in early adulthood. Something happened and you learned the skill of people pleasing. You didn't know that you learned it, but you did. And that's okay. Now that you're aware that it's causing problems, hello Sherry, in your relationships, and you keep repeating these same painful cycles, it's time to stop cycling and choose to be better. Please go to the link in my bio and download the Relationship Patterns Finder. Complete the assessment. It will show you your primary relationship pattern, which may be people pleasing, and it will give you your next steps so that we can work through helping you with it. Okay? Now, what I would like to talk about is how do we actually, what is it that we need to do about this people pleasing pattern, right? And so I use something called R.O.O.T. R-O.O.T. It's the R.O.O.T framework, and it is 4 very simple steps, and so we'll talk about it. R.O.O.T. The R stands for recognize. So right now we're recognizing. We're becoming aware of the pattern. So recognize means that you can notice the pattern. You are receiving the training and the education required to be able to identify the pattern when it presents itself. The Relationship Pattern Finder in my link in my bio will help you do that. So now that you can clearly see the pattern, you now have recognized it. Okay? O, origin. Remember we talked about earlier that if you have a people-pleasing habit, then you learn that skill. It's a skill, and you learned it somewhere in your life, in your childhood, in your adolescence, your early adulthood. Somewhere along the line, something happened. That's the origin. And so the origin helps us understand where it started and why it started. So not to condemn, not to blame, not to hinder, but to set us free so that we can understand it. If you understand a thing, then you can operate correctly instead of incorrectly in it, right? And then O is own it. Own it means that you are being accountable for the choices that have gotten you to where you are. Okay? There's nothing that we can do about the choices that have caused us to cycle in these painful relationship patterns because of people pleasing. However, own it takes you a step further, and it says, okay, I now understand the history. I am going to take accountability for the choices that I've made so far, but I'm also going to take accountability for where I am and choose to be better. Now you will learn how to take steps to move forward from that point, and I can help you with that. T is for transform. Once you've recognized it and you know where it started, the origin, and you take responsibility, which is to own it, and you choose to be accountable, then you can transform. Transform means that you will take actions to learn how to build a new habit, right? So the habit that you have now, likely, is people pleasing. So then, when you work with me, I will show you how to stop and to transform and build a new habit in its place, right? For example, if you're accustomed to saying yes every time someone asks you for a favor or whatever the case may be, if you're accustomed to saying yes because you've learned the skill of people pleasing somewhere in your life, and it makes you uncomfortable, it exhausts you because you are you're one person and you can't be everything to everybody and you can't commit to everything, right? And so we will then have to unlearn that skill so that we can learn how to put things in buckets. So we have a bucket where this is something that I can commit to. Then we have a bucket that says this is really not something I can commit to and I need to say no, right? Okay? And that's it. That's the root process. That's the process that I will use to help you. And it's amazing what we will discover when we walk through that process. So I pray that you're brave enough to just go out to my bio and click the link and request the relationships pattern finder, complete the assessment, and then follow the steps to reach out to me for your free discovery call. So this whole framework starts with the step that we're on today, which is recognizing your pattern. Proverbs 29 and 25 tells us that the fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe. People pleasing is often born out of fear, but it pretends to be love. People pleasing is often born out of fear, but it pretends to be love. It pretends to trust God, but it really doesn't. It needs everyone else's approval to feel safe. That's people pleasing. But when the real you steps into the room and you decide to take off the habit of people pleasing and choose to live as your authentic self, real change will begin to happen. And you will begin to attract relationships that will cause this painful cycle that you've been experiencing to stop. So if you're ready to find out exactly which pattern that you are operating from in your relationships, whether it's people pleasing, overgiving, weak boundaries, and so forth, then please go out to the link in my bio and download the free relationships pattern finder, complete the assessment, and then follow the steps to reach out to me so that we can book your free discovery call. So now, what I would like for you to do is take a few minutes and tell me if there has been at least one time that you have said yes when you really meant no. You can drop it in the comments. I really appreciate that. And if you're not comfortable dropping it in the comments, then feel free to message me. So while you're typing your answer, thank you very much for the heart. I appreciate that very much. So while you're typing your answer, I would like for you to also go out to the link in my bio and request your relationships pattern finder. You don't have to guess about which pattern that you're living from anymore. We can break the painful relationship cycles. Now, I would like to tell you a story. So the story is about someone who learned the habit of people pleasing. So every time someone asked a favor, they said yes. Every time someone had a last minute request, they said yes. Every time somebody asked, can you just, they said yes. And this person was exhausted and they couldn't figure out why. Upon discovering that they had a habit of people pleasing, they were able to look back on their life, and they were able to pinpoint the origin of the pattern. When they pinpointed the origin of the pattern, they found out that they experienced something painful and life-changing as a child. And when they discovered that, they understood the why. The why they were constantly saying yes. The why they would feel guilt when they would say no. The why they would read the room every time they walked in the room and would adjust their personality to fit whoever was in the room. They understood the why, the why, the why, the why. And once they were able to learn the why, they understood why the how to fix it was so important. And if that's you, I want you to understand that the how to fix it is really important. And I want you to ask yourself, what is the price of staying the same? If I continue to operate in this pattern and allow it to run my relationships, what is it costing me? Is it costing you relationships where you're actually able to walk in freedom? Is it costing you that? If your answer is yes, then please go out to the link in my bio and download the Relationships Pattern Finder. Complete the assessment and follow the steps to reach out to me to book your free discovery call. And we'll find a path forward using the root process so that you end up at the T, where you have the ability to move forward in your relationships transformed, because we followed the process. We have to be willing to do the work if we want to get better. We have to be willing to apply ourselves if we want to do better. If we want better relationships and we want to learn how to create healthier relationships, then we have to be willing to do the work, and that's to go through the process. So again, the process is root. Recognize the pattern. O, find its origin. O, own it and going forward. T, transform it into something new. You don't have to keep saying yes. You don't have to keep pretending. God didn't design you to earn love by disappearing into someone else's needs. God designed you to show up fully as yourself, to live in truth and peace, not people pleasing. And so if this topic was significant for you today, please remember, this is not about judgment. This is not about condemnation. This is all about awareness. Because I want you to know that I don't just teach this, I've lived it. I've done my own personal growth work. So I understand with a unique perspective what it takes to go through the root process and make it to the T, which is to transform. R-O-O-T. Recognize, origin, own it, and transform. I also have over 20 years of ministry experience helping God's people and supporting them in various ways. So I want to thank you for being here today. And remember, you don't have to keep repeating the same relationship cycle. Things can change.